like I think that these two episodes have, in some ways, the fingerprints of what Moffat will become all over them, and then in other ways that it's missing some of the kind of crucial maneuvers he'll end up doing. But I think the biggest note I have is like this is an episode that was filmed clearly in London at 2 a.m. and then they built a soundstage in a parking lot somewhere, and there's no other locations. It's like 3 locations, and that is like classic early
It
Who,
is
you know?
very clever in that respect, like
Yeah.
min-maxing the use of sets and space. And
Because like if you think about it, the field hospital is a real location. The train yard where all of the action happens outside the field hospital is just a parking lot somewhere. And then the thing they build on the soundstage is the interior of Jack's ship, and that's like basically it. It's a very sort of conservative use of sets and set design. Yeah, what's yelling out to you guys? Where do you want to start?
I did like, having rewatched it again yesterday, the juxtaposition, ow, stop that cat, where it like starts funny with the joke in the club. You think, oh, this is gonna be good, and then it cuts to outside with the creepy child, and
Yeah.
that cat is being annoying.
Cat attack. This it could be worse. We sometimes have baby attack on this show. Now, I do think that there is a I understand that England has a similar relationship to World War II that Americans have to 9/11 and Bin Laden. Like I understand that there is a kind of jingoism that exists at the core of like those two pieces of history in pretty interesting ways. But I'm curious, Darth, for you as Americano who is non-English, did this stuff make sense to you? Like, I guess the cultural context of London during World War II and the types of things this is playing with. Like, do you have enough just from culture, or was there things in here where you were like, I don't like? Yeah, I'm curious how that fits for you, being sort of on the other side of the proverbial fence, as it were.
So now I'm trying to remember years and years back to whenever I first saw this episode, because like now when I'm rewatching it, everything just kind of like seems like nothing jumps out at me. But I want to say when I first saw it, and I was like, there were bombings like that London, like that happened. So I really don't know how much of a part of our history, our history studies in school that was, and if I learned it, if I slept through that class, or if we never were taught it. I don't know. So now it doesn't really register at all, but I definitely could see like the first time I watched it, and I was like, I definitely remember like the balloons seemed absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
I remember that was one huge thing. But yeah, to answer your question, I bet when I first watched it, it did really catch me off guard, because we know so little. I mean, even of our own history, I have no clue what happened in a lot of our own wars. So I definitely don't know what happened in London.
Are you suggesting the American education system somehow failed you?
Oh, it getting worse.
What no longer exists. Yeah, it's. I mean, I studied as part of my when I did history in high school. My specialty was dictators, and then my second specialty was World War II. So this stuff is like very much in my. Yeah, that doesn't surprise you at all, does it, Darth?
Your specialty was dictators.
Well, you had to pick. You had to pick a. You basically picked a major and a minor, and I picked dictators as my major, and that was how the socialism began.
You could have gone with like the most altruistic.
It was a
helping
limited
society, and you're like, no, I want to study the dictators.
I mean, it's a really good way to help society, to be able to like identify how they work and what they do and their tricks, and Well, yeah, it was a narrow range of options, and that seemed the most interesting to me. It also overlapped the most with World War II, so I got a lot of bang for my buck as far as like, being able to research for one thing and reapply it elsewhere. But I think in the end, my final piece was on. I think I did Pinochet in comparison to. I think it was like how Pinochet treated his political enemies in comparison to Stalin, I want to say. And looking at sort of the ways that they both utilized state violence, where Stalin's state violence was it was very ideological, it was very sort of dispassionate and distant, in comparison to Pinochet, whose state violence is very personal, right? Stalin was sort of sending out secret police to your home to disappear you in the middle of the night. Pinochet was taking you up on a helicopter and pushing you out of the helicopter. Very different energies those two dictators had. But anyway, that was just a little side tangent about why I know a lot about World War II. Yeah. So the reason I asked that is the comedy bit is interesting. It is the sort of thing that would have been very fun. It would have felt normal in 2005. This little opening bit where he goes up and and they think he's doing a Type 5, and he doesn't realize it's funny. I just don't know that you do that on TV. Like, not that it's like you'd get cancelled. That's not what I mean. TV doesn't have this mode anymore where it's sort of, this is almost like a screwball moment in a way. The early seasons of Doctor Who have a zany energy to them. And I think Eccleston brings a lot of that. It's almost, I keep thinking about what Pat said about Born Again, which is like that pop energy. This to me is almost like Moffat having a stab at like pop horror or something, where it's zany and it's scary, and that the sort of oh my god, Darth, what's the contrast of those two tones is what makes the episodes go. Like that's kind of my overall, that's my galaxy brain take of like what he's trying to do here. Because the other thing these episodes are famous for is being like, people talk about these as some of the darkest episodes of Doctor Who, which I am curious, like, yeah, Alex, you've seen a lot of it. Obviously not as much as me and Mitchie, but does that still hold true to you coming back to it now? Like, does it, or do you end up finding yourself more on the sort of poppy side of things, where it's, more zany? Like, what's your feeling?
I think it's trying to be serious. And I guess in the moment as a kid, like if you're watching this and you're like 15, you're like, yeah, it could be pretty creepy. I guess nowadays, not so much. I guess that's it, right? It's like it kind of like capsule in time. Like at that time, it probably would have been reasonably groundbreaking for a lot of people to have seen. But then over time, we see more and more messed up shit. So it's like becomes less messed up.
Probably
I
doesn't
think at
help
the time he probably would have written it seriously. I think that's why I was mentioning that contrast, is because like that was the look, here's the funny bit so that the rest of it is serious sort of thing, But then
Yeah.
obviously Captain Jack gets introduced and it's all, wait, is this funny or serious? I can't tell.
Yeah, there's a weird
it's difficult.
He's a weird character because this yeah, talk to me about Jack. So Jack is Jack was a time agent. He's fled the agency because they stole, like, did he say like they stole like a decade of my memories or something? Like it was some amount of
It's a
time.
couple years or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's like, I lit out on my own. And he's just basically a pretty bad grifter. And so I didn't fully understand his scam here. Can either of you explain to me this is again, what was the thing we were talking about recently, Darth, where I just couldn't figure out the puzzle. Like, it was in the Batman, where I didn't understand the cipher at all because my brain is bad at this stuff. What is his scam? Like I understand that it involves destroying the ship, but I couldn't figure out how that would make him money.
Well, because he would get them to pay half as a deposit, right? And then, oops, the ship got blown up. And then they commiserate over drinks, but he's got half of their money.
Isn't the ship worth a lot of money? Or is the ship actually like a junker?
No, the ship's worthless. Yeah. Well, it's technically a warship, but
I see.
Technically is us doing all the work here.
Right. So cheap shitty ship, convinces you it's worth a lot of money. You pay half up front. Some natural disaster destroys it. Oh no, what can you do? And then, you know, he's still got the deposit. I see. Okay, so basically, like, it's basically how banks work. When they give you a subprime mortgage, when they overvalue the property to short the loan. Cool. Geez, this episode accidentally saw 2009 coming, huh? Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, what do you guys make of Jack? Obviously, he's become larger than life in the years since, but at his first outing, what's your vibe?